Okay, this is the DAK Mark 9, which is normally a tube AM radio. I've modified it into a sideband radio, and it is a Super Lion. Mobile set that luckily had the output to the different gauge. It actually had 2 gauge outputs and an SWR output, so I was able to wire all the gauges up as they should work. Noise blanker was wired in, A&L wired in to the original, although they only seem to work on AM, so I may change those. You got the volume here, of course, which is very sensitive, and I might have to do some work with that. The squelch, which a strong signal like that does work. RF gain works very well, and controls the gain very well. Sometimes I don't use it on full gain. I have it sort of back to 3/4 and turn the volume up, and gets rid of a bit of noise. Channel selected 40 channel. Unfortunately, the LEDs of the Super Lion actually blew out. When I accidentally touched some power or something, I've got to sort that out. I may replace it with the red LEDs that were originally in the DAK and figure out the wiring code so the channel selector actually works with the correct channels being displayed. At the moment I've just got this stick-on little knob here that tells me that's on channel 35, 6, 7, 8, 9, 39, which Scotty and Alex are on. Delta tune, I usually have that in the detent center position, or slightly this way, but I haven't actually tuned the frequencies of the radio. SWR calibrate, obviously, you can go to, if you transmit and calibrate the SWR, I've set the knob so that that's the correct position, and you just can't quite see, but I actually have a antenna tuner just at the bottom of underneath there, which the SWR meter works spot on, or I've calibrated it to work spot on. The mic gain is set. The mic gain's pretty sensitive actually, especially with the Turner expander that I have actually set up on the radio. There's my antenna tuner there, goes to FC707, which works very well. Sometimes I can actually use it straight through with my antenna setup, but most of the time I have it just in case in the because the rain affects it in the settings there. Turner expander here, I have the setting about halfway there, and the tone I've checked with a few people, and the tone seems to be best sort of set up at about setting 7, and it is a microphone that has its issues, but hopefully I'll get it right. It does work, but it's a bit of a pain at the moment. But that's the main radio there, with on the side here my homemade speaker and noise reduction system. It's obviously a Datong unit that I've inserted into this speaker with a bit of work, cutting it out with a Dremel and cutting the metal front face so that it fitted neatly around it, and wiring it in at the back, power into the from the 12 volt rail from the PC power supply I have actually powering the DAK. And the datong pulls any whistles and noises out of the received audio different ways, and I'll just turn this up a touch. Probably won't notice it here if I turn it off. It does just slightly reduce the frequency response and what have you, but it works quite well, especially if I go to channel 34. That's 35, and if I go to 34 there will be a bit of a noise, and then it'll delete it and you'll see the red light stop. And yeah, that's actually notched a tone that's about 4,000 Hertz, and if I turn it off, you can hear the tone that's always on channel 34, and that used to be how I used to tell where I was in the dial until I put the sticker on there, because I didn't know, and I knew the next channel was 35. Unfortunately, it doesn't fix the static that I sometimes get from the plasma TV. So there's not much I can do about that, unfortunately, at the moment. Although I have tried by filtering a lot of the inputs and outputs of the TV and the cables and all the rest of it, it hasn't made that much difference. It's amazing. It actually seems to peak on 35, or 36, 37, 38 is not too bad, which is good, because that's the DX channel and one I'm probably mostly listening to at this time of night when the wife has the plasma TV turned on. Local Scotty to Gravel Guts, talking to someone there, gets a signal about an S7, the peaks up to a 8 or whatever. He's just running a standard setup, I believe, or so he said before, although he has been known to push the boundaries a bit, I think, but an entertaining guy to talk to. So okay, of course over here, most importantly I suppose, as far as I'm concerned, and the reason for all the hard work, is what used to be the RF power and plate current for the tubes. I've replaced that switch, which used to be just a switch like that, with a well, actually it's the 3-position switch out of the mobile set. It's still connected to all the wires and what have you. All I did, I positioned the mobile set in the back of the radio so that I was able to just stretch the pot into the correct position here to change the mode. And that's AM, of course, with Scotty bleeding through because he's sort of only about a couple of k's down the road. That's upper sideband, and that's lower sideband. Transmit and standby switch, I was going to hook into the power supply, but it didn't need it because I'm powering all the gauge lights here, which you can see in this sort of reddy colour. I'm powering them with the 5-volt rail from the PC power supply. That actually makes sure that it turns on when I turn the power switch on. And yeah, so this actually powers disperses between the 240 volts that I've got coming to the PC power supply. So when I turn it on, it senses that it needs the 5-volt rail here for the light, so it fires the power supply up and powers the radio as well. So yeah, that's basically becoming finished. This radio actually works extremely well. This Super Lion, that's the mobile basis of the radio. I think was a very good choice, considering I got it at $5 for a garage sale, but this thing, the DAK, cost me $300 from the US, $60 in transport, which was cheap, and the price of $250, which was a buy now price, so I jumped and bought it now before I realised it wasn't the sideband unit. But when I got it here and realised it was, I'd realised prior, but still went ahead with the sale because I thought, what the hell, I ripped the guts out of it, as I have done, and replace the Lion sideband set in there. And I think actually this is probably one of my best radios, even better than the Texas Ranger 696 SSB base station I've got. And I think it's nearly as good as the CPI, or seems to work as nearly as well as the CPI, in receive anyway. Possibly doesn't put out as much power. The power going out is you know, fairly low. It's probably about 10 to 12 watts if I'm lucky. And yeah, a bit of feedback there. Yeah, with this speaker setup I've just set up here, I don't have it shielded enough, and for some reason I'm getting feedback at the moment. That's why I'm not doing a transmit test or what have you on the air. So yeah, that's the DAK, the DAK Mark H hybrid SSB. I love it.